George W. Bush has been open season for the late-night comedians, withering jokes about his bumbles and stumbles. And it was finally that cutting humour that helped usher the Republicans out of office. Satire became crucial to the election outcome. Tonight, we hear from two Americans living in New Zealand about that and what it is to be an American abroad these days. He didn't just set America ablaze, he lit up the planet.
At this defining moment, change has come to America.
Eloquent, a man for our times, the new Messiah.
I think John McCain said it best when he said, I can do Maverick, but I can't do Messiah. It's above my pay grade.
Tracey Barnett is an expat American columnist resident in Auckland.
I think for a lot of Americans, the idea of Barack Obama is just as important as the actuality of the man.
Are we talking about the second coming here?
Yes, we are.
But how did he pull it off when the race was running so close? How much of it was about the man?
And Michelle and I have met so many Americans who are looking for real and lasting change that makes a difference in their lives.
And how much of it was about the mockery?
What is it exactly that the VP does every day?
Mostly you just sit around being prepared to be the most powerful person on earth.
Satire, ridicule. The late-night comics slung off big time, and it stuck.
These campaigns sure are expensive.
They sure are.
Spreading like a virus, countless millions went online for reruns and webcasts.
He's the oldest celebrity in the world, like super old.
Even Paris Hilton got in on the act.
I'm just hot. But then that wrinkly white-haired guy used me in his campaign ad, which I guess means I'm running for president. So thanks for the endorsement, white-haired dude.
What?
But none had quite the same incendiary impact as this woman on this woman. Sarah Palin, the blunder from the Alaskan tundra, and comedian Tina Fey.
Katie, I'd like to use one of my lifelines.
She was just comedic. She was funny. She had this certain style.
Someone called me a redneck woman once, and you know what I said back? I said, why, thank you.
All of these things played into her as a caricature for late-night comedians, talk show hosts, Letterman.
Now, if you're wondering why we're interviewing a professor of American Studies in a stable, well, here's why.
Do not be afraid of the large black man. He will not hurt you. That's me.
Vernon Andrews also makes and bottles Uncle Vern's Louisiana barbecue sauce.
As you know, we can become president.
So you're finding it's okay to be an American now?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I had kept my USA rugby jersey in my closet for 8 years. And I finally pulled it out and walked around, and I felt proud. I felt actually proud.
And that's the thing for many expat Americans. After 8 years of George W. Bush, it's now okay to be an American.
The night that Obama won, I was in a bar with about 200 Americans.
I think for me it's a little bit like Christmas, Halloween, and had it not gone my way, it would have been a nightmare on Elm Street.
Universally, the sentiment was the same. Every single person, and these are all expats, by the way, that are living in New Zealand, it's been a hell of an 8 years to be an American. I can't wait to be proud of my country again.
It was Palin's glaring failings that helped ensure there wasn't another 4 years of the same.
And I can see Russia from my house.
The $150,000 wardrobe.
Usually she shoots her clothing. Now she's actually buying it.
And that bumbling CBS interview.
But ultimately, what the bailout does is help those who are concerned about the health care reform that is needed to help shore up our economy.
The satirical bite was in repeating it word for word.
Health care reform that is needed to help shore up our economy, to help it's got to be all about job creation, too.
When you saw her words verbatim said by a comedian, you realized how absolutely unprepared and ridiculous her candidacy felt to so many people. So, yes, I think she swayed votes hugely.
In the end, the parody became the politics.
They call her, what's that name? They call her Cara, what do they call her again, Tina?
Oh, that'd be Caribou Barbie.
Caribou Barbie.
Were you offended by Sarah Palin?
Offended? No. Disgusted? Sure. If John McCain had to choose a conservative, religious right woman, but he certainly could have chosen one who was qualified and sophisticated and politically adept. And unfortunately, Sarah Palin was none of those things.
The outcome is now a shimmering piece of history. And who can forget this? Jesse Jackson, veteran civil rights campaigner, overcome.
I think after all those years, it just comes forth. It's like, wow, you know what? Somehow or another, we've crossed an important bridge, and I lived long enough to see it. I think that's what Jesse felt.
An image that symbolized so much to blacks and whites alike.
It was the image of the softness of his tears. And actually what came into my mind was an image I'd always grown up with, protesters in Selma, Alabama being blasted with water cannons. And you see these well-dressed, lovely-looking people being pummeled. And the juxtaposition of the softness of his tears, I guess, and the cruelty of the same kind of water being used on our own people just one generation ago seems like such a huge transition.
The enormity of the task before the president-elect is, of course, daunting. Can Obama possibly live up to that expectation?
No. No man can measure up to this expectation. But the reality is that he has created a possibility of renewal for America. And if he does nothing else, if his entire presidency is a complete failure, at least he will have accomplished that.
I do think it's going to be a near impossible task, but if you're going to have someone in that job, in that role, you want the brightest and the smartest in the room making those decisions.
And there's no question that Obama is smart, a constitutional law professor. This time the voters went for smarts over the past.
If you don't like what we tell you to believe in, we'll kill you.
Did the comics give an unfair impression of George Bush, do you think?
No. No. I think that's the job of American comedy, and I think that's the job of satire, and we can use a hell of a lot more of it in this country, actually.
If McCain came across as old school...
Please welcome your senator from the great state of Illinois, Barack Obama, ladies and gentlemen.
TV did the opposite for Obama. He came across as the coolest of cool.
You got a man who's cool, who's unruffled, whose wife is brilliant, whose children are lovely. And yeah, he does look like a member of the Temptations from the 60s.
To welcome Senator Barack Obama.
And you thought there's no way dancing gets any cooler than this, right?
I gotta say this about Barack Obama. He's got everything going for him, except his ability to dance.
You're saying he can't dance?
He can't dance. He can't dance. He can shoot hoops. So he's got some of that going for him.
Too good to be true? Maybe, but for two American expats living way down under, there's a sense of cold dread as well.
3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas.
President John F. Kennedy gunned down in Texas.
I want to live as long as anybody in this building tonight, and sometimes I begin to doubt whether I'm going to make it through.
Martin Luther King on a balcony in Memphis.
Obama, at his acceptance speech in Chicago, he stood behind an 11-foot wall of bulletproof glass. And if that's not a reality check, I don't know what is.
Do you fear that Barack Obama will be assassinated?
Yes. Look, even people took pot shots at Reagan. Yes, it's a realistic fear.
Do you fear for the safety of Barack Obama?
tremendously. But he has to make it to January 20th, and once he makes it there, I think he'll be fine.
On January 20th, Barack Hussein Obama, son of a Kenyan migrant and a white American mother, will be inaugurated as the 44th president of the USA. The full weight of history and expectation on his shoulders.
African Americans are walking around the planet right now with their chests poked out, with their heads high, knowing that, you know what, we finally crossed the most important barrier that we had to cross in this country. Many barriers left, to be sure, but this was the most important.
When a young, skinny black senator from Chicago, said stuff like, we can take in our hands the arc of history and bend it to make a better day. To millions of Americans, what that meant for them was a chance of renewal, an opportunity for redemption that I think Americans desperately needed to heal the wounds of who they saw themselves as these last 8 years.
And in these last 8 years, as you've seen, satire played a stunning role. Comedians had it on a plate. But now?
We're a little confused here. What are we supposed to cover now?
Good point. Obama, the new messiah. Not easy to mock that. Not yet, anyway. Which leaves...
Get up, Scratch!
This guy.
Get up!
The new Vice President, Joe Biden.
I think Joe Biden's there in the ready. He's ready and waiting.
And that's it for this week. Send us your comments and story ideas. There's the address. A very good night.